Welcome, everyone, to A Haunting in Stratton. Penned by Ryland Mason, narrated by me, Brian Shepard. Episode 13. Witches. Okay, where were we? Oh yes, uninvited guests have interrupted Bear's date with Ryan. After April rushed through the front door with the news that there were 3 women out there, and they did not look like they were selling Tupperware. Ryan has put the notion that he can see and hear April aside, as these witches were getting closer to the cabin, already past the Jeep and now stopped before the front porch, going no further. He watched through the same window as Bear. Backing away, Ryan was getting nervous, as ghosts are one thing. Now witches? Are vampires real too, he thought. Ryan, you all right? Bear asked as he turned and reached out for Ryan. In that moment, and before Ryan could answer, flames erupted where the witches stood. Ryan, grabbing Bear's hand, watched with amazement as all 3 women were on fire. Red and black flames engulfed them, burning the black dingy robes away, and what was once a hideous thing with no eyes and stringy hair changed into a beautiful woman. The woman to the left was dressed in blue, with short golden brown hair, while the woman to the right was in black, with long midnight black hair, with her ponytail wrapped into a bun, both with milky white skin. The woman in the middle, however, looked slightly older, dressed in red, to match her vibrant red curls. Both Ryan and Bear backed up from the window, as the woman in red was now walking up the steps towards the door, which decided to fly open, allowing all 3 to simply barge in. "Who are you?" Bear asked, now curious as this might not be as bad as they thought. "I am Sister Sarah, and these are my fellow sisters, and you are Bradley and Ryan," she said, smiling. "You seek answers, Ryan Green, do you not?" Sarah asked as she pointed at him. "Wilhelmina Barton," Ryan said. "Sinner," one sister whispered. "She's a sinner," the other said. "More like a fool," Sarah said as she grinned. "Why do you call her a sinner?" Ryan asked. "She had sinned against our faith. She used what we taught her against the sisters," Sarah answered. "How?" Bear asked the question this time. With a grin on her face, she started to move her hands around as if she had a magic ball, which was forming a bright green light, and in an instant burst, and after the flash, both were standing once again in the room underneath the mausoleum. "Mina, why have you asked me here? I will not go along with your plan," Mary said as she entered the room. Wilhelmina only appearing as Mary made her way over to the tomb. "Who are they?" Mary asked, as 3 women, who looked just like they did in front of Bear and Ryan, walked in. "These are my fellow sisters of the faith, who have come to help me bring him back to me, so all can be well, and I can be rid of this horrible guilt," Wilhelmina said. "What you ask we cannot do, Wilhelmina. This we have discussed, have we not? No one can bring the dead back to life, and if you do, you will create something evil. We have taught you our ways and the magic of light to heal and better yourself. What you speak of will haunt you forever, the sister in blue stated. The other nodded in agreement. The room then went dark. If it wasn't for the fact that Ryan was still holding Bear's hand, he would have thought he was alone. A squeeze of the hand reassured Ryan that Bear was still with him, as candlelight could be seen as it was illuminating the way for Wilhelmina, who had entered the room. "Now to open this," she said, as she placed the light on the floor and with her hand reached out towards the heavy marble top. They could see her focusing as she concentrated and moved the marble top as it fell to the side. Wilhelmina stood there, mumbling something under her breath, and as she did, her eyes began to glow a shade of yellow. Hands, as if she was praying, her mumbles began to get louder as she continued to chant. However, her eyes were quick to look into the direction of Ryan and Bear. Someone had entered the room. But who? By the time both looked behind them, the room went dark, and they could hear the sounds of a fire crackling. They were back in the cabin. "Wait, where did they go?" Ryan asked, as Sister Sarah and the others were gone. What a ride. So, okay, it doesn't answer everything for Ryan, yet it was way more than what he bargained for. The Sisters of the Faith were always portrayed as being bad witches, nothing but bad news and devil worshippers. Of course, people would see it that way back then. Ryan and Bear were now alone and were able to enjoy a fantastic meal and discuss what had just transpired. "This is fantastic, by the way." "Thank you. Glad you like it. I decided to try something new," Bear said as they finished the last bits of dinner. Bear could not think for the life of him what to make for dinner. Since he lives alone, most of the time it's anything from a box or a bag. If it can be cooked in the microwave or just add milk, he's all for it. All day at the library, he thought of nothing else than what he should make. So when he got home from work, he could have sworn Julia Childs was in his kitchen. "Chicken roasted in red wine with onions and mushrooms," he heard her say, as an episode of The French Chef was playing on his Amazon screen that sat on the kitchen counter. April. His teenage sister seems to be thinking of everything. She's met him once, and only then he could not see her. Now he can. She must know that her brother likes him. Okay, I'll make it. It sounds good," he said as he stood there watching the screen. April did this as he was going to cheat a little and throw something quick together. Not that he didn't know how to cook. There just didn't seem to be anything at the store that jumped out at him. "How do you suppose they knew that we had learned about them, as I'm sure witches don't make a habit of just stopping by your place?" Ryan asked, as they moved from the kitchen back to the living room, glasses of wine still in hand. "That is a good question. Yeah, I have a feeling we'll find out soon enough," Bear replied, as he adjusted himself to just be a little closer to Ryan on the sofa. Conversation continued between the two of them, while Minz slept in between them. More questions about the paranormal, ghosts, and his house, to have the convo turn into personal questions, like favorite food, color, and etc. By the time the wine bottle was empty, Both were asleep. Ryan ended up laying against Bear, who had his arm around Ryan. Mittens, feeling a little squished, moved from between them to Ryan's lap. Much better. April was all smiles as she sat on the coffee table with her head resting in her hands, smiling as she watched both sleep. Ryan, who happened to wake first, noticed her. "Good morning," she whispered. "Good morning, April," Ryan said as he wiped his eyes, realizing he was laying on Bear's chest, arms wrapped around each other. Mittens seemed to have moved once again to the chair near the fireplace, which was mostly red glowing embers. All Ryan knew was that he was comfortable, and it was apparent that Bear liked him. Ryan doesn't even think Bear moved or let go of him all night. Of course, she would disappear as Bear started to move himself just a bit. A kiss on the top of Ryan's head meant that Bear was ready to move. "Good morning to you, too," Ryan said as his sleepy arm was returned to him from behind Bear. "Can I just say thank you and good morning to you as well?" he said as he smiled and looked into those eyes of Ryan's. "Thank you for what?" "For staying with me, having a great meal, and this," Bear said as he caressed Ryan's cheek before gently kissing him on the lips. If only to be broken up by his sister, reappearing at that very moment. "Aw, I knew it," she said as she just smiled as she danced around the room. "Seriously, April, you have got to stop doing that," Bear said as he pointed at her. She just stared at him with her eyes squinting. She stuck her tongue out. And then Ryan started to laugh. "You guys are definitely brother and sister. I'm so glad that I have been given this, whatever you want to call it, to be able to see and speak with you," Ryan said as he got up from the couch. April, touched by this statement, went to respond, opened her mouth, and "Red alert, battle stations," was what April heard out of nowhere, causing even Mittens to wonder what the heck was that. "Sorry, gotta take this," Ryan said as he grabbed his phone as quickly as he could. Red alert meant it was his boss calling. The governor. Thanks for listening, everyone, and for the support. I will see everyone for episode 14. And thanks for listening, especially to those all the way down in North Carolina, to Connecticut, to Massachusetts, to Rhode Island, all my fans out there, and all the other countries as well. It's amazing to see exactly how many people are listening and where they're listening from Australia to New Zealand, United Kingdom, Chile, Spain, Turkey, Ukraine. I see you all. Thank you again for listening.